You see yourself as a tool in the toolkit.
Your home is a product at the end of the day. If you're not selling it and you want to pull equity out, the only person stopping you from pulling money out of that home is a valuer. So I can tell you what we actually look for. You can easily spend an extra $200,000 on a project and you're going to get an extra $200,000. So you've just cancelled out that profit. Don't hate the player, hate the game. We're playing by the rules. Now the rules have changed. So now it's like, okay, maybe now your home is the best place for your $3 million because it's a tax haven. So if you buy a property, the rule is you must live in it immediately. Now, if you sell that home within 6 years, you don't pay capital gains tax on that. That day when you commit to your business 100% is probably one of the scariest days of your life.
If you work in design or architecture, this is a conversation you are probably already having with clients right now. A project that was planned 6 months ago is being revisited, a renovation budget is being questioned, a client who was confident about their investment property is suddenly less certain. The 2026 federal budget changed the rules, and for many people, that conversation is still catching up with the reality. My guest today is someone who has been putting numbers on Australian homes for 17 years. Belinda Botzolis is the founding director of Add Valuer, a property valuation consultancy built on one idea, that Australians deserve unconflicted property knowledge. She has inspected more than 15,000 homes and valued nearly $12 billion in real estate. She is also increasingly one of the most trusted independent voices on what the Australian property market is actually doing and why. What Belinda brings to this conversation is something most of our guests do not. She sits at the intersection of design, finance, and human behaviour around property. She knows what moves a number and what does not. She knows why a beautifully designed kitchen renovation doesn't always deliver the return it should. And she has a lens on the Australian market, particularly in Sydney, that goes beyond the financial into something far more human. In this episode, we talk through the budget changes and what they actually mean. We talk about what genuinely adds value and what simply makes a home easier to love. And we explore what it looks like to be the person in the room who understands both the design and the market reality behind a client's decision. This is a practical episode, and I think it's a timely one. Belinda Botzolis, welcome to Build Beautiful.
Wow, what an intro. I wasn't feeling hot before, now I'm all flushed and humbled. Wow, Linda, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. We met recently at a James Hardie lunch, and I'm like, oh my God, there were lots of influencers at that event, and I remember sitting next to you, and I'm like, I follow you. I've been following you for ages. Like I connect with you because obviously I do property with my husband as well. And so I always straddle those two lenses of design, and love design, like passionately love it. But also I've got that commercial lens, and I love your honesty on socials. Like you are just so that female empowerment. You know what you're talking about. You know your shit. And I think one of the things that my husband, who's in tax, he's a tax advisor, especially after the budget, there's so many people out there, like all the sensationalist talk, as you'll, be able to talk to in a minute. But what I love about you is there was none of that. It was straight to the point. It was factual. It was evidenced. It was research-based, and that's why we're having this conversation, because you're a trusted voice, and I'm so happy to be able to do this episode so that we can empower people in design and creative industries with just some good knowledge around what's happening and what's changing. So welcome.
Thank you.
That was an extra long intro.
Yeah. Well, it's very timely, I guess. There is a lot of noise around the budget. There is just a lot of confusion, and there's still a lot of questions being asked. I guess if we snapshot a moment in time, nothing is concrete just yet. And I think that's what's making people really confused. Some things have been grandfathered, some things aren't. There's new tax from this date, and then after another date, there's, different taxes. There's trusts, there's, investment, there's property, there's shares. It's like nothing was untouched, and that's why it is so polarizing, this budget in particular. And I've always, I guess as a valuer, I'm trained professionally to just be impartial, just look at the facts, and almost professionally paid to not have an opinion, rather base my opinion on facts rather than base my opinion on emotion.
Yeah. But that's what I love, because when I look at, I was looking at all your reels and stories on Instagram, which is, I know, one of the main platforms that you kind of speak to, and I think on LinkedIn as well. But everything, you say it clearly, like you explain things with examples. I loved the can of, this is your house, the drinking can. It was like, it makes sense for someone who doesn't, these are complicated concepts. I'm married to an accountant, and he talks to me about this stuff all the time, and I just switch off. Like, it's just that part of my brain is hard to exercise, and I get it. So what I love is that you've taken these complicated concepts and broken them down and made them easy for people to understand, with none of the fluff, none of the bullshit, language. You've just democratized it and simplified it. So what are the conversations you're having now compared to, say, a month ago, pre-budget? Like, everything has changed, you're right. But what are the main things you're talking about in the last sort of 10 days?
A lot of it is, I guess, that uncertainty on how to move forward, because as they say, well, I've always said this, don't hate the player, hate the game. So if you're following the rules and doing everything laid out in front of you, that the rules are around negative gearing and capital gains, whether you're running your business or investing in shares, you're just following the rules, and it's like literally the rug's being pulled out from under you, and it's gone, those rules that you were following? Yeah, we're going to change the game, and we've got a whole new rules that have come in. And that's where people have gone, wait a minute, I have based my retirement plan around this. I am about to embark on since we're talking about property, a development, right? And I'm going to sell certain properties. I'm going to keep properties. I've got properties in a trust. I was going to distribute into family trusts, into bucket companies. That's all now been flipped upside down. Yeah. We have a grace period up until 1 July next year. But beyond that, even accountants are still even not sure how to set things up. And that is the conversations that I'm having with clients. I would say do not go ahead and do anything knee-jerk at the moment, meaning don't go and completely restructure your business or company or plans. We have a bit of a grace period until we know a bit more concrete what is happening.
So with all these changes, are they proposed? I know I should know this, but for someone who doesn't understand the background, are they proposed changes, or have they been passed through law? Like, are they law yet?
No. They need to pass through Parliament.
Yeah.
And even myself, I don't know the intricacies of how legislation gets passed, but they have to pass the two.
Senate and I think upper house
they've got a lot of numbers in both of those. So it's basically what's being proposed now. There'd be very little objection, and it's very rare, even people within your own party, to object against their own party. It doesn't look good. So it has been quite polarizing. I think they will tweak a few things because so many people have backlashed.
Yes.
Like, it's all I'm hearing on everything.
The feeds are full. Like, even the design, like, everybody is talking about the impact of this budget.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, I would love, and we will get into the weeds of this a bit later, but it's really kind of, how do we as creatives, designers, architects that are advising our clients on design, how can we have the language and the knowledge to be able to also help them protect their investments?
Yeah.
Because ultimately we add value as designers. Sometimes we add too much, we add too much design, not enough value, but that's, can be debated. But ultimately, we are responsible. Like, we are responsible for ensuring that our clients' investments are protected, whether it's the family home, whether it's an investment. So I want to get into the weeds of that. But before we go there, I'd love to kind of talk about your history, how you became a valuer. I know you worked for a big corporate for a long time. So give me a bit of background. Okay. Yeah.
So 17-year-old Belinda was sitting on her bed, and it was about the time when I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Yeah. And I grew up where my mom, it was like there was no plan B. It was you had to go to uni. Like you had to study. There was no, I didn't care what it is. But and I was like, oh God, okay, let's just decide my whole life right now. Yeah. And I always loved property. I did.
Where do you think that came from?
My parents were kind of like a little bit novice investors themselves. I used to go to a lot of open homes with them.
Yeah.
And I used to visualize, because I was young, and I used to be like, oh, I love this bedroom, because you look at how the other little girls would have their rooms all set up. And then I'd walk there and I'd imagine myself living in those homes. Anyway, and then they went through this whole thing about we're going to knock down and rebuild. So then we started visiting display centers. I just remember as a kid just always parents talking about had people in my family were, would buy and sell property. And I loved it. I didn't want to be a real estate agent. And I don't know if it was God or the universe or all of the above, but I remember holding my uni guide and I just kind of went, okay, what am I meant to do? I promised this hand on heart. I opened it up and I looked down and I was just sort of looking what was on the page and it had property economics. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then it had potential jobs with this course. And one of them was property valuer. And then I went to school. A friend of mine went to school with a guy that was studying that right now. And I called him up and he just loved it. He's like, yeah, it's great. You do it, Bill. You'll love it. And then I remember the marks weren't that high. It wasn't like you had to get 99. And I had more than enough marks in the end to get in. I applied. That was a 3-year course. I graduated. I remember going overseas for a few weeks, or it was 2 months, came back literally 3 days later. I went for a job interview, got the job.
Wow.
So I went from high school, uni, straight into it.
Work,
and I've never had any other job. It's not I was in marketing and then I went into sales and then I went and then I fell into valuation. I think because with valuation, Linda, you have to have a tertiary degree. It's not like it's a 3-week course at uni, a TAFE or, certificate online. It's so it's hard for people to just switch careers quickly.
Yeah.
And then about 12 years ago, I was working in the quantity surveying division, doing tax depreciation schedule, so I became a tax agent as well. So now I hold the 2 qualifications and that's really helped round my knowledge of property.
Yeah.
And then I worked, because you have the big 4 banks. I worked for 2 of the big 4 val firms and they're huge multinational firms. So I had a lot of exposure to, and value is we don't just value for the banks, we value for government acquisition. So if a government puts a highway through your home, easements, if there's also all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Not just mortgage work.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I know you do because I see the passion come through all of the stories that you tell. At what point did you when did you decide I've had enough of corporate and I'm going to go it alone and build my own practice? Because that in itself is very inspiring and it's a big call because, to have a big corporate job in one of the big 4. Yeah, it takes courage.
Yes. And I think probably a lot of your listeners are self-employed.
Yes, many.
And a lot of them will be at that point where they're I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but they'll drop the F word and go, I'm going out on my own.
Yeah.
It's in your gut, but that day when you commit to your business 100% is probably one of the scariest days of your life because for a long time, I, like everyone else, I had 2 young kids, daycare, I had a mortgage, I had, a car loan, I had
all the things that you have.
And it was like a ball and chain that every, 15th of every month I was getting paid and I knew whether I worked hard or I didn't, that money would come in. And to give that security up and go, this may or may not work, was really scary. I reversed and reversed it.
Yeah.
Most people start a business and build their social media I was slowly building my social media that then allowed me to go, hang on a minute, I'm getting quite a lot of inquiries, quite a lot of work through I didn't plan on growing it.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to share information and education because there was a lot of real estate agents, there was a lot of buyer's agents, a lot of interior designers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on a minute, where are all the valuers?
Exactly. And I know more than all of you.
Yeah, I know more in a different way.
In a different way. That's right. Absolutely.
And I went, okay, well, valuers are really the only property professional because if you go to court, it's the valuer's opinion that they rely on.
That's right.
If you get a loan from the bank, it's the valuer's opinion. So I was like, where are all the valuers? And I started doing it, and then it came with and it sort of ties into what we're talking. I called the company Add Valuer because I was like, I help people add value and I'm a valuer. Because number one question, Linda, if I renovate my home and I do X, Y, Z, am I going to overcapitalize?
Yes.
If I renovated my home and turned it from a 3-bedroom into a 4-bedroom but only 1 bathroom, is that the same as having 3 bedrooms with a great ensuite walk-in robe but not that 4th room? And, so which one's better? And I would like, well, just do X, Y, Z, and I'd help work with them. And then slowly worked out that this is a gap in the market where people are wanting to, because things are so expensive. The cost of construction, and they're like, I don't mind spending the money.
But I need to know I'm going to get it on the back end. And I get that so much because it's interesting because any questions we have, like for our property development stuff, we call our agent. We're calling our real estate agent that we have a really good relationship with. I am on the phone with him weekly going, what about this? And if I do this, will that work? And does the market want this? Because my perspective is he's on the ground. He knows what people want and what people are willing to pay for. But I've genuinely never thought to work with a valuer, but actually this is a great conversation because it's like the penny is dropped going, because I just always think a valuer is someone who values a house at the time that it's going to be sold or for all the other reasons you stated. But one of the things we talked about on the phone in the preceding this recording was that you see yourself as a tool in the toolkit. And so talk to me more about that idea of like you're just another tool in the toolkit. So some people may know this, some might not, but if you do a substantial build or renovation, and let's say you have just bought a house and you're going to the bank and you're like, hey, bank, can you lend me $600,000 for this build? The bank's like, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? Oh, I want to build an extension and a new pool, XYZ. Okay, well, do you have your plans? Do you have your schedule of finishes? Do you have your landscape plans? Do you have, XYZ? They take all that information, they give it to a valuer, and then they go to the valuer, hey, based off all this information, what is the home going to be worth at the end? Because we need to know, make sure that they're not overcapitalizing, meaning right now the home is worth $2 million. But with these renovations, are they going to get at least 2.9? So then we can secure 2.7 for that $600,000 or $700,000 for the reno. So valuers are constantly valuing off floor plans, off schedule of finishes to tell the bank what the property's worth at the end. It's same as if you bought a vacant lot and you wanted to build a house. So all those house and land packages that you see, and even if you go through like your Clarendon homes and your Masterton homes, right, they provide all those floor plans through the company to the valuer. The valuer tells the bank what it's worth. Then we go out at the slab stage, we release the funds. We go out at the frame stage, we release the funds. So we are there right from the beginning, going out constantly doing progress inspections, upon completion inspections. So having that skill set, I'm able to then work with my clients, reviewing floor plans, really understanding what they want from the home because it's their home. It's not up to me to say, move that, change that, you'll get more money. And they're like, well, that's crap because then that defeats the purpose of why I'm doing this. It's not functional for the way we live.
For the way we live.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But what I do is I do bring also that lens of, well, this is what the market want. I understand what you want, and then we kind of work around that. Sometimes they give me floor plans and they tell the architect exactly what they want. And then the architect interprets that in what they think. They present them with a floor plan and they say to me, I just don't know how to make it work. It just doesn't feel right. I just wanted a second set of eyes. I wanted a second opinion. Sometimes I don't tell them anything new, but it's helpful to have that objective, because unlike an agent, I'm not going to call them up in 6 weeks' time and say, hey, are you selling? Like, how are you going with it?
You're impartial.
Completely.
Yeah.
And my opinion is always trying to help them understand the market and what is going to add value and not, especially, Linda, for anybody that's listening, if you are doing something for yourself, that's different, okay? I always say sometimes it's okay to overcapitalize. Like,
it's for you
tell your wives or your husbands or whatever. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Wink, wink.
Because it's your home, and every home should spark joy, right?
Yes,
to a degree, as in money wise. But if you're thinking of flipping it, or if you're thinking of it as a development and making money, it's really important to understand that you can easily spend an extra $200,000 on a project, and you're going to get an extra $200,000. So you've just cancelled out that profit. Sometimes it's about understanding, well, if you're not selling it and you want to pull equity out, so you're doing it as an investment reno, the only person stopping you from pulling money out of that home is a valuer. So I can tell you what we actually look for, what we actually care. So I want to do this and that. I'm like, value's not going to care.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, one tiny example, I had a client wanted to rip out the old built-in.
Right.
And fit it out. And I said, look, if you're living in here and you don't want your clothes in the old built-in, change it, yeah? But a valuer is not even going to open up that built-in too. So that's $2,500 potentially you're saving because it's not going to add any value to the home. Little things like that. So having my perspective as completely objective to tell you what does and doesn't add value can sometimes not. You don't have to take what I say as Bible, but you can use it to help guide your decisions. Yeah. And just have that reality check sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, because I think from a designer perspective, one of the things I look at, if I look back at many of the projects I've worked on where there've been major renovations, gut renovations, I know for a fact that each of those renos over the time has, the works that we've designed and the result has ended up in a massive uplift for that client. I was very aware of the fact that there is a sense of responsibility on us as designers to make sure we are giving clients good advice, whether it's material selections, design selections, floor plan layouts, whatever it is. We are part of the picture, and we need to have the language to help them make good financial decisions, whether it's their forever home, whether it's an investment. So, but I think what's interesting from your perspective is you are looking at it purely from the lens of dollars and cents. What's it going to sell for? It's almost like a bit of an equation. So what can we as designers learn from you in terms of how we can help our clients make good decisions? Like, what are the top 3 or 4 things that can empower us to have better conversations with our clients?
Yeah, okay. I'll re-engineer it a little bit, and then I'll come around. So when I work with my clients, a lot of the time I tell them, this is what you need to do to your home, or I see your vision, but you need to bring it more in line with this to get more market value. And this is where I love working with interior designers, and where I say I'm a tool in your belt is I do not want to replace an interior designer. I respect them highly. I say, this is the vision. This is what you need to do. I'm not an interior designer. Go find a great one and get them to bring that vision to life. Yeah, okay. Right. You need to, and where I help them as well is I give them in order for you to renovate your home, and because there's always a ceiling on a home. It doesn't matter how incredible it is. You can go and spend $2 million on a home. It will never get more than a certain price, depending on where it's positioned, right? And I say, in order for you to at least make a little bit of money, or to at least cut even, try not to go over that $500,000 mark. because for what you're doing in this market, you can go and spend $800,000, but the market will never spend more than that much for
There's
this
that
home.
ceiling in that area
Correct.
for that type of home.
Yeah. And I always say, if you want to get the best bang for your buck and you want to kind of, you don't want to spend $1 million, but make it look $1 million, go find an interior designer.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, this is what I want you to do to your home. Go find out if that's viable from a builder, because I don't know if this is load-bearing wall. That could add to the cost. I don't know if you need special council approval for what I'm suggesting. Go speak. So this is where I help clients get the vision to then bring it to life with the right professionals.
Yeah.
Same as working with interior designers. A lot of the times they might have a client that they bring to me. And this is how I love working together with them, where they're like, Belle, I've got this one client, and you know this, and anyone listening to this will probably understand. They told me their budget was $200,000, and then they started, I want this, I want this, I want this. And now it's all of a sudden we're at $450 and they're freaking out. They just need to know if they're going to get their money back or where they should cut back, because every time I try and make a suggestion, they're not sure. Some other interior designers are like, they think I'm trying to rip them off in a sense that the more expensive it is, the better it is for me. Yeah. The interior designer's like, I'm just following their brief.
Yeah. These are all very familiar conversations.
So I, again, don't come in and say, cut that out, do this. It's conversations around, yes, this definitely adds value. This is where I think you should concentrate on your money. Like this, you must present the home this way. All these extra stuff that you're saying are probably not going to make much difference. So if you're looking to cut, this is where it is, or work with your interior designer to kind of come up with like dupes of like, it doesn't have to be stone, but it could be something that brings similar type of luxury. Work with your interior designer, because they're great at pulling
that's
things,
the expertise, right?
Yeah,
it's that
and
material,
bringing the colour in, bringing a bit of colour. We don't want it all white. Sometimes we need white, but sometimes the market demands a little bit of pizzazz. Yeah. I don't know what that pizzazz is. Work with an interior designer. So I think my tip for interior designers is, when you are working with your client, figure out what is the non-negotiable, what is the big interior items that they need in their home, and try and work within your skill set to kind of like fake it till you make it with some things. Everyone wants the Taj Mahal, stone everywhere. And maybe you could go, I really think we should just keep it to the bench top. I know you want it on the splashback and you want it around the range hood, and you also want it in the bathroom. Maybe we can dupe that with a porcelain tile, or we can do something that still looks extremely chic, but it's a third of the cost, because the hero is the bench top. Yeah. But the splashback it complements. So try and figure out where. It's not about cutting. It's just about maybe figuring out where the hero pieces are, and then the complementary pieces pulling back.
Yeah, because not everything can be a hero in a space. You and that's the skill of the designer, is to work out what are the heroes in the space. And when you are trying to balance budget, then that's the skill. That's the skill set. So, but I think what is great in terms of what you do is you're putting the numbers and cents against it. Like, you're putting the dollars and the research to say, in this market, there's a ceiling for what you can sell this for. And this really comes back to the client's needs. If the client is a price-sensitive client and is trying to protect their investment, there are lots of designers that we've had on the show that are working with clients who, they've got carte blanche. Like, they open up that checkbook and do what you want, really. But for the vast majority of designers, that's not the case. There's always budget constraints. There's always those conversations. So it is that, tension between, you want the beautiful things, but you also, have a budget to achieve. So give me an example where you've come in, worked with a client, and then really helped them Like, do you have a specific example where they've sort of come to you and gone, we want all of this, and you've gone, but hey, look at it from this perspective. This is the value of the house. Your renovation cost is going to be X, but you can only sell it for X. Like, what does that exercise look like if someone's working with you?
I had one very, very recently. They were going to buy a home. It was sort of like an inner west, like a terrace almost. They wanted to buy it, but before they purchased it, they said, here's our scenario. Do we buy this home and do this renovation and extension and spend all this money on it? Will we get it back or close to? Or should we just go ahead and buy something already done? Okay, because then we don't have to worry about the renovation. But the problem is they're not going to get 100% of what they want because they were really picky with the wife wanted the big walk-in robe and that was a non-negotiable. And, to find everything that you want in a home, chances are everybody else in the market is, and that's why these homes get a premium. That's why they get. So do we pay a little bit of a premium at the beginning without the hassle of renovating and going ahead and just buying that home? Or do we buy something a bit cheaper but then renovate, which we could potentially overcapitalize and have the hassle of renovating but get exactly what we want?
Yeah.
So this is a very common scenario that I work with my clients. I want to, even if it's on the back of a piece of paper, I just want to see their floor plan and their vision. And what I do is I always start and I say, trust the process. There is a method to my madness. I always start off by doing a full market analysis of the area. I had this one client, I'll just deviate for a second. She was in Rose Bay.
Right.
Okay. And she wanted to build this home. And I use this example a couple of times because it's quite interesting. We did a demographic look and I said, did you know that nearly 48% of the demographic that live here are of the Jewish faith? And if you are building a kitchen, I highly recommend making it a kosher kitchen.
Of course.
Because if almost, one in two, 1 in 3 will be of that faith. And kosher cooking is really big because on Fridays they have Shabbat and it's part of the culture, right?
Of course, yeah.
So she's like, I wouldn't have even thought to do that. Okay. Then you could have someone on a completely different scenario, might have a home that's in Lakemba and almost 60% of the Islamic faith. So I'd say, okay, well, if you're renovating a home there, make sure that the toilets have like a bidet. If you've ever been to Bali, they have the little, because if your clientele is of that faith, you want them to, buy a home and it's a product. Your home is a product at the end of the day. Instead of having a study, we can have a study/prayer room. Make sure that the room is facing the right way because there's, you've got to face a certain, I think it's west, and things like that. Make it comfortable, make it what they want because this is your client is the next buyer. If you're putting your home on the market to sell, it's no longer yours. It now belongs to the market and they're looking to buy. You're thinking about
it completely from that buyer pool, that buyer
Even
thinking.
if she wasn't of the Jewish faith, and I said, if it doesn't bother you to have, a kosher type kitchen, it could be quite helpful to cooktops, to dishwashers, have a butler's pantry, make it, it's not going to affect your day-to-day living, but what it does is safeguard your home in the future if you do go to sell, knowing that it can, and that's how I also help my clients understand.
Protecting their investment. Yeah.
I'm not an interior designer. Get your I don't know how your builder's going to make that butler's pantry finish. I'm not a builder or an architect. But that's a them problem now. I've highlighted it. I've helped you understand that.
But it's really good advice. Yeah.
And
totally.
again, is this a family-friendly area? Is this an inner west area where there's a big, LGBTQ community where it's not so much mum and dad to kids, so you don't really need the bedrooms all on one level because mum and dad want the kids on the same level in case, the kids get up at night. Not a priority. Backyard, not a priority. Cool courtyard, yes. So it's about understanding your demographic to suit your needs, but also at the same time have a little bit of an investor hat on, meaning at the end of the day, if you do, because life happens, Linda, like anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And just know that, hey, I'm pumping in $600,000. I may have been slightly overcapitalized, but I know in 5 or 10 years' time, it's such a great floor plan, such a great design
that it will get it on the back end.
Rather than doing something that you want. And if you do at the end of the day, it's your life. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
But I sort of say, I'm just warning you. Just want to put it out there. I know you don't want a downstairs bedroom with an ensuite, but the market does. And I know you want a big open art studio because you're an artist. That's fine. That's why you're building your home. Do it. But if you go to sell it, you might struggle because most people want that downstairs bedroom and ensuite. Okay, cool, got it. Yeah. At least they know.
Yeah, well, you're empowering them with knowledge and ultimately they decide what they want. But I love that perspective of you're helping them protect I'm all about like protect your investment. And maybe I'm too commercial sometimes, but I think partly because I'm married to an accountant. And so, you get trained to think that way. But it's interesting because I think about the developments we do down south and we always have like the number one thing we work into our floor plans is a bathroom with an ensuite downstairs because it's a downsizer market and they're selling the big home. They're happy to have a 2-story so long as you have a provision for a lift, but like a dedicated section, not a slap on. So we have dedicated spaces for the lift and then always have that large bedroom with an ensuite downstairs because you just don't know what life's going to be like in 10 years. So I think that's it's really kind of trying to take a moment to make sure you can have all the beautiful things, but make sure that you can get your money back at the end of the process if you ever have to sell. Okay, I think we need to get into the weeds of the budget now. And I am by no means any expert about talking about it, so I'm going to be guided by you. But I think what would be good for us to understand is with all these changes to the budget, maybe just the top 3 things that impact us as designers and architects in the space. Like what conversations do you think we're going to be having with our clients moving forward? Like what are the maybe 3 scenarios that we can kind of become knowledgeable about?
I think when it comes to people's primary residence, might just be status quo, because that always does come back to their needs and wants in a home. I would just say you get some clients that want, and also some designers, because they get to then showcase their work on social media and it looks amazing right now. I am always a big advocate, and it sounds boring, but I love pushing the envelope on design, like really pushing it. If you're going to flip a home or sell it, develop it and sell it, because you're selling it to the current market and the current market want trend. It's like you go into the shops, everything is chocolate brown. Have you noticed? You go into...
I'm wearing a chocolate brown jacket right now.
So on trend, Linda. So on trend. Where last year it was like very much plum. Like plum's gone through, and then, the year before it could have been like all about the pastels. Like summer it was like, So in that moment of time, you have like with the interior design, like the fashion. And I would say if you're doing like a fashion home, because it's like you're showcasing your skill for the owner, and it might not be your problem, but a lot of the time that dates a home so quickly. So you go into a home and I'm like, I know now because I do depreciation schedule. So I've got to figure out when things are renovated so I can cost it back. Stripes down the middle with the little square stripes. I'm like, that was so 2005 to 2008. The hexagon, marble hexagon tiles, right? They creep in now, but they were like so hot 10 years ago. And then like 5 to 6 years ago when I built, it was like Hamptons, shaker. Right? And then the round handles, and then you open it and the two
the 2 half moons.
Everywhere. Now it's all about the arches and like minimal handle or hardware. So you can't stop the trends, but if you go like now it's like arches and nudes and Venetian plaster and round, it can be a time capsule. And then when trends move on in 5 or 10 years' time, somebody's going to move in and go, oh, this is so dated now. So I always encourage my clients, incorporate a little bit of it, But don't go, if you're planning on living there forever, don't go too much on the trend. Like bring it back to the classics because the classics are timeless. And you think about like a mid-century modern home. You think about an Art Deco home. There are elements in that yes, are dated and old, but they're still so timeless right
but
throughout.
They're true to that particular era of design. And if it's done well,
correct, it's
timeless.
Yes.
If it's done well, the problem I think we get into with trends is it becomes prestige. It becomes over, like it's over-engineered. Those elements are over-engineered, and that's what then makes it feel like it's of a moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, but so take me back, because you said if you are flipping a home, you're saying go hard on the trends.
Yeah.
That's what, because people are buying within that moment. It's so interesting because the developments I do down south, when we first started 4 years ago, curves were kind of just like, because we were designing 5 years ago, right? So we built in the 4th year. The curves in architecture were really kind of just starting to come out and be strong, arches and curves. Now they're everywhere. So we did the first 2 projects had some curves in them. And then by the time we got to the 3rd one, it was like, we're done. Because by the time we got to our 3rd project, so 3 years on, literally every single development down in the area for 4 suburbs around us had not just one, it was curves everywhere. Every detail, from the hardware to the mirrors to the door, entryways to the exterior, the interior, it was so over. So I'm like, okay, we're doing exactly the opposite. And our last project, we're actually doing classic weatherboard cottages because that's what the street needs. But it's really interesting because it's so different to how I'm thinking about how do I keep these timeless, because I'm thinking about protecting the investment of the person that buys it so that in 10 years or 15 years, it still looks timeless. It still looks good.
That's a great way to look at it.
I know. But now I'm like, geez, I can't even do trends if I tried.
No, with the trends, when I say follow the trends, I'm sure if you look at your colour choices.
Yes, of course. You're going to adjust those elements. Yeah.
So that's what I mean about really, it has to be very relevant. And
to the moment.
Yeah. And you have to also, you do to a certain degree, and I'm sure if you look at your design, it is about giving the market what they want. And this is where a lot of people, they copy trends. And you can always tell, Linda, when there's no personality in the home. It's just, and they haven't had the right interior designer or the right architect, because it feels like it's a ripoff from, it doesn't look like a real designer bag. It looks like a knockoff because they feel like they were trying to force the style. But you need to also go, well, if these, because it's so expensive, you have to safeguard your investment as well. So you're sort of like, well, I know that these are selling really well. Yeah. And I want to also sell really well. So I'm going to incorporate what I know works in the area right now. Yeah. But by making it timeless, it will also appeal to those that don't necessarily love that design as well. Yeah.
And some people don't, design, they just want a good quality home that, serves them they're not necessarily looking for the trend. Not all buyers, lots of buyers have got great taste and want that. But I think, it's hard when you're not, for my design clients, I'm guided by their interests, their, functionality, what they need. So it's easy because you have the guardrails because you're working with someone one-to-one. When you're assuming, you don't know, you're creating a client avatar, you're leaning on the real estate agents who know who they're talking to. And so you're making a lot of assumptions and you're just praying to God it banks at the end, but you just don't know. So
it's almost like doing your own valuation on the property, seeing, like my advice is if you are embarking on your own development, and it's hard because as a valuer, I find it really hard to value my own home because I think it's better than every other house out there, like every other owner. And I've actually had a valuation come back. I'm like, that's a bit low. I'm like, bloody valuers. And then I read his report and I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah,
like,
makes complete sense.
Yeah, makes sense. So again, because you are a designer, you are working in the confines of what your client wants. But when you have free reign, your brain can get a bit jumbled because you're like, oh, I can do this, but I can do that. And I love this, but that doesn't really suit the area that I'm maybe wanting to develop or, want this in my own home, but doesn't necessarily work for the space that I'm designing in.
Yeah.
And you are wanting to flip it for a profit, always come back to what has been selling well in your area, what are the key elements. And sometimes you might think, well, when I say when you're pushing the envelope, it just doesn't mean play it safe. Okay, or boring. It has to be boring to a degree where someone can walk in and add their own personality to it.
Yes.
So it's not going over the top in a way that you're not allowing much for the owner's personality to come through.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it's about going, okay, well, I'm going to make it. It's almost like getting dressed up and going, all right, I'm going to leave the earrings and the lipstick to the professionals, but this is what I want to wear.
Yeah,
it's almost without going.
Give them a good, strong foundation, but allow them the space so that they can inject their personality, their art, their furniture. Yeah, no,
and
that's
making sure well, these type of homes, these trends have performed quite well. Sometimes you might see a home, you're like, interesting, that didn't sell as well as I would have thought. Pick up the phone and call the agent. And that's where,
get the feedback.
Get the feedback. Go to open homes, see what people are kind of saying. Even go to, when I built my home, I'd spent, oh my God, I can't even tell you how many weekends at open homes and just getting, design ideas because sometimes people put things together where you're like,
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Or that's cool. Or now I know what not to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see things in your head or you try and it's always great when you have one of those flat lays and it looks great. But when it comes in all together, you're like, oh,
into the built form.
Wow, that didn't come together the way I thought. Very lucky now because we have such great 3D renders and CAD's incredible and you can almost visual like these renders look real, like a photo.
They're photorealistic.
So it's very, very good to, I guess, play around with different things, but you definitely need to make sure that you are meeting your market.
Yeah,
and not just going, this is what I love as an interior designer, if the market's not going to respond to it.
What are the budget implications to that? Let's bring it back to the budget for a moment.
As far as I understand, if you buy a home, Linda, and it's a house in Parramatta, okay, and you're going to knock down that house and build a brand new house and sell it, from my understanding, a new buyer cannot buy that as a brand new property because with brand new property, you can still negatively gear. Okay. So you're thinking, I'm going to knock down and rebuild and somebody's going to buy it as an investment and they're going to get the negative gearing. So I'm going to have this extra demand of buyers. No.
Okay.
However, if you buy that house in Parramatta and you drop it down and then you build duplexes, because you're adding to the supply, you're knocking down one to build two.
Yeah, right.
That then you go ahead and buy it. You will then get the benefit of the negative gearing. So as a developer, you have then broadened up your market because you're going, okay, might get owner occupiers, but I may get those that want to buy for that negative gearing.
So the investor market that might have bought an apartment and was able to negatively gear it, we're saying based on what the budget is telling us now, we think that those buyers are going to move into brand new builds.
They want them to. Not all will.
Yeah.
I still don't believe buying brand new is a very smart investment decision for the sake of a small tax incentive.
Yeah,
okay.
that's interesting.
So if you're basing your whole investment strategy because the government's allowing you to claim a little bit of a negative loss against your income, probably not the best strategy. Anything that's brand new, Linda, anything like a house or, a car or shoes or clothes you buy from a shop, everything has a premium for a new product.
Absolutely.
The minute it becomes secondhand, that
the valuation drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for a brand new home, if you're buying it, think of it this way. You're buying the home, it's new. The developers put some, marketing premium on it because they had to market it, they had to build it, they had a showroom, it's fancy, it's, all that. You're coming in going, wow, it's new. I'm the first owner. Wow, I can claim maximum depreciation, maximum tax. You're probably going to, maybe some government incentive, you're going to pay a little bit for it. But the minute it becomes secondhand, that cream on top is no longer there. So why would I pay you that? Why would I pay that? It's no longer there. It's not brand new. I'm not getting full depreciation. I'm not getting negative gearing. So I'm not paying a premium for it. You've automatically lost some value there. So just be careful that you're not buying into this scheme for a small tax incentive when the bigger picture looks like you're not making as much. Yes, some properties, yes. I just really worry now because we've had such a strong market last couple of years. So you buy off the plan in January. By December, the market's gone up 15%. You're cheering.
You've made
right?
money. Yeah.
But if the opposite happens, if you buy in January and the market drops by 15%, just example, the valuer will value it in December based on their valuation. That's what the bank will lend you, regardless of what you paid for it in January.
Yeah.
So just beware.
Beware. Okay.
So in terms of what else the government with the incentive, for capital gains, it's a little bit trickier because there is a date that so if you own anything before the 1st of July 2027, the old 50% capital gains tax rule applies.
And that's what they mean by grandfathered?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grandfather just basically means rules as is. We're keeping it exactly the same. But after that date, they're going to then base it on inflation indexation. That's really complicated, Linda. Even I know what it means, but it means that every year the government, the HO will come out and say, this year the inflation index number is 3.7. So they're going to work out, they're going to adjust your growth by 3.7, and every year it might be 2.8, 4. The accountant will have to index every year individually until you sell, and then any gain from 1 July 2027 until you sell will every year be incrementally adjusted to work out your true gain.
But it's indexed based on that.
Nuts.
That's great. Accountants and valuers are going to be very busy for the next few years. And it's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the old way is you bought it for $1 million, you sold it for $2 million, divide it in half, pay your tax.
Yeah.
Simple. Right? And it's, you don't even if you don't quite grasp that, you're like, okay, something to do with whatever the gain is, I just split it in half and then I'll pay tax. I don't have to. This is every year different indexation. It's so confusing.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Why do you think they've chosen to go down this path? Do you think that their strategy is going to work? Because ultimately what they're saying is they want more housing and they want people to increase, to make housing more affordable. But do you think that's actually what's going to happen?
I just think they've overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
I think that they could have done such a better job. I don't really think that they got advice from the right people. They had the right advisors in the room. I think that they were thinking, oh, okay, why don't we just index it? It just felt like it was a school project and it was a group assignment. And then you had, 10 people around a table, which probably what it was. And like, oh, I have an idea. Oh, Mel, what about this? Oh, that sounds good. And then you had one person sitting there just writing down, probably chucked it in ChatGPT and said, make this make sense. And ChatGPT is like,
I hope not.
Based on the conversation that you had around the table, this is what I suggest. And then that's how it seemed from the outside.
From the outside. Well, the upheaval it's created is mental.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk more scenarios, because I think when we were talking on the phone, you said there were 3 scenarios where from our perspective as designers and architects, I'm trying to think of it from our perspective and in terms of the different scenarios we might come across with our clients. So some we're working with, most would be forever homes. So you're saying if you're working with a client that's working on a forever home, doesn't really impact them?
For at the budget wise, no. The only thing I'm thinking it may impact a little bit is just really be mindful, and being in the industry, you'd know the cost of construction, nothing to do with the budget, but because of the fuel crisis, we may be seeing some slight inflation increase in construction costs. So just be mindful of that when you're talking to your client. Give them really realistic outcomes around, look, I know you want that now, but by the time we go through the DA process and by the time we go through the tender process, let's just add a bit of a contingency of 10%.
To cover that potential increase.
We had the whole shake-up around the stone market with the silica, and then that was, again, preparing your client for what's to come. Once that comes in, that's all settled down now, moving forward. And just really guiding your clients around, okay, let's work around what you've got, but be realistic that, if we do come up with another, that they're talking about maybe 1 or 2 more rate rises, and just holding their hand around, because you want the work too, right? You don't want them to turn around and go, oh, it's too expensive.
It's too hard. I'm going to wait. Yeah.
I'll think about it. And that's where I come in always, because I'm like, they'll get calls and like, they don't want to go ahead, and I'm not going to get you to convince them. But if they talk to you, they might just feel a little bit calmer that, okay, might be a bit more expensive, but they're safeguarding it for the future. And there's certain things they want to cut out, but they're not sure what. I've suggested some things. It's not working. What do you think? Yeah. I might talk to them, and I might not even change their mind, but I might calm them down. Yeah, because they just want to go, my builder is telling me, my architects, my interior, I don't know whose advice I should take, because they're all suggesting something different. It's confusing, right?
Yeah, totally.
Where I might just come in as the voice of reason and just settle them down and go, okay, well,
let's bring it back to the facts.
Yeah.
You bought it for this, your renovation estimate is this, and you can sell it on the back end for this. Yeah. And the bank is going to be able to loan you this. Like, it's very kind of, structured.
And based off what you're saying, this is where they can kind of really benefit from that. So I think guiding your clients to say, okay, well, I know this is what you've told me you want. I've kind of delivered around that. Why don't you bring your architect in, or you work closer with architects, work with the valuers, work with the local agents, and just help them kind of come through, because they're going to be very confused. And I think that's probably one takeaway from today, is just that confusion. I don't know if this is the right thing to do right now. Everything's so expensive. I don't know if I should just sell. What's the point of renovating? I was going to build, but it's just turning into a nightmare. You almost have to be the jack of all trades to help tie everything in, because I think more than anything, the interior designer's job is probably the most emotional.
Oh, yes.
And whereas
100%.
Yeah. And you have to be their therapist, and you also have to be their friend, and you also have to be quite firm with them, because you're like, are you I can just imagine, because I get it, and I'm like, are you joking? You told me this was your budget, and now we're sitting here and you're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, and then I want to go up, and I'm like, didn't you tell me at the beginning of the consult you had maximum XYZ to spend, and this is what you want out of the home? And as we're talking, it's just
the scope creep comes through.
So you have to almost learn to bring them in, which you do, and you're very good at that. But I hate to say this, I feel like it's going to be a bit more now. They need that reality check, all that kind of emotional hand holding through the process, more than perhaps you've done in the past.
And that's off the back of the changes that have come through or are coming through with the budget and but also not just that, it's inflation, it's interest rate rises, construction costs rising. There's a lot of there's a lot of things happening that we can't control. Yeah. But I think as architects and designers, we can try and empower ourselves with enough knowledge. We're not experts at all, but being able to kind of just have enough knowledge around being able to sort of support them to help them work out what their decisions are or bring in the right advice to help them make those good decisions to protect their investment. Whether it's the family home, even a forever home. I mean, everybody has a budget. I know some people say they don't, but in my experience, everyone has a budget, even when they say they don't have a budget. So it's kind of just, going on that journey with them. And that can be hard sometimes. Okay, so another scenario that we talked about was for the client who has an investment property and wants to renovate it to rent. Mm-hmm. What do you think the impacts are going to be on that sort of scenario?
So the renovating an investment property is not a place that you should be. Remember how I said pushing the envelope with a development and following trends to a degree? It doesn't mean that you have to just copy and paste everything. It means you can be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? You can flex your creative muscle a little bit more when it comes to helping a client renovate a home. Remember earlier I said don't do it all white. I always say when it comes to investment properties, if in doubt, tell my clients, if in doubt, you're not sure, just white everything or just keep it in very, very, very neutral, only because I always find that neutral, which is sort of on trend now, like most things are neutral, doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah, okay? It's not polarizing.
It's not polarizing. And I know we have some beautiful colors in bathrooms with the blues and the greens with the coppers and just stunning, right? But if at the end of the day, your circumstances change and you need to sell quickly, you just want to make sure you can sell the home quickly. Yeah. And then you just don't have 10 people walk through and 2 people that could have potentially been and gone, oh, I hate blue, and walk out, right? Whereas if you had time in the market to be like, okay, well, I've lost 2, but it's a great home and I know I'm going to get somebody else in the back end that's going to love it. So sometimes going in and then having nobody you say, oh, this is nice. There's nothing offensive in this home that I don't like, and you're able to sell it quicker, low maintenance, and also mindful that we can still claim deductions on our home through depreciation, okay? So, yes, if you renovate your home, it's not all lost now to negative gearing. You can still, if it's a home that you've owned, you can still continue to claim a lot of that loss for future gains later on down the track. But just concentrate on quality, because a lot of people think, oh, it's an investment property, I'm just going to go to Bunnings and get the cheapest. Tenants are sometimes heavy-handed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then you're replacing that tap, you're replacing that door hardware every 5 minutes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So do quality, okay, but more timeless and more keep the creative flex. You can give it a little bit, put your stamp on it again, but just try to keep that bit more in check.
Yeah.
And just more about, okay, we don't have to go with beautiful, European oak flooring. A good Hardie hybrid floor is better. Okay. You might have a client that goes, oh, I want these sheer curtains. I see where you're coming, but maybe they'll get dirty over time. They'll get ripped. They might have a dog because you can have pets now. You never know, the cat will claw it. Let's maybe just use roll blinds, things like that.
Yeah. All things that are a little bit, stressful to a designer who wants to flex their creative muscle. Yeah. But it's all good advice. And that's, at the end of the day, that's our job too, it's to help our clients through those decision-making processes. Okay, so there was a reel that you had put up on socials where you were talking about capital gains tax, and you were saying that if you bought a primary residence and then you lived in it, you moved into it immediately, and 6 years later,
Oh,
or
the
just
6-year
before that.
rule.
Can you, the 6-year rule.
That's
Can you talk me
Okay.
through that scenario? Because I
Yeah.
think it's really interesting.
Okay.
And
So if you buy a property, the rule is you must live in it immediately. It cannot be rented out first. So
as a principal place of residence. Yeah.
So some people are like, oh, I'll buy it, I'll rent it out a little bit and then I'll move in. No. You must live in it from the get-go. Now, please talk to your accountant. I'm saying this, like stressing it. Some accountants say 6 months, some say 9 months, some say 12 months. There's no real hard or fast rule. It just must be your principal place legitimately. If you move out and don't have a secondary home, because this is where people get stuck. So let's say, Linda, I then go buy another home and then I live in that home and then I want that to be capital gains tax exempt because it's my property. I can't then have this home that I've just moved out be exempt. You have to pick one. So it works and it's designed for people that like move interstate for work or they are renting or move maybe back home with mum and dad. But always nominate that home as your principal place of residence. Now, if you sell that home within 6 years, you don't pay capital gains tax on that. Some people then, they're sneaky, like at year 5.5, they'll move back in and legitimately make it their principal place of residence. They'll just, kick the tenants out and they move in. And then if they move back out again, that 6 years starts again.
Right. So it's like a loophole, basically.
It is. Now, it's fine if you're like a single person or you're a young couple, but if you've got kids and a dog and luggages and, baggage and school and you got to uproot your life to come back in to avoid the tax. I benefited from this because I moved into another property and I was happy to nominate that as my secondary property, not my principal. And then I sold and I didn't pay the tax because I nominated it as my principal place of residence. But you have to set this plan up in place with your accountant.
Right. Okay.
And this is a great little loophole for people that have found that, because sometimes you have a home and for no reason, just pure luck in the market, it's just like this little home has just tripled or doubled, right? Yeah. Happened in Perth, happened in Brisbane, happened to I bought a little unit and it just for some reason tripled in the space of like 6 years. I was like, great. And I renovated it and that would have been a big capital gains tax bill.
Yeah, of course.
So I decided with my husband that we were going to sell that particular unit. That was part of our strategy. So if you do know these little rules and these little, hacks, whatever, you can get around. They haven't touched it. They haven't mentioned it. So I hope I'm not jinxing it by saying anything. Fingers crossed, knock on wood.
God, could you imagine next budget? Here we go.
There was a TikToker that mentioned this rule and we don't like it and we're going to scrap it. And I'm like, sorry about that. But yeah, for now it works. And the other one that a lot of people are talking about too, Linda, is if you have a home and you purchased it before the 12th of May, 2026, right? So say this beautiful home you're living in, if you do decide to move out and rent it out, you can still continue to negative gear it.
Say that again.
So your home that you're living in.
If I buy it today, as of today.
No,
prior
your existing
to,
home. Because there's a lot of people that, they want to kind of, they might have bought a home and they don't want to sell it. They want to keep it. And if you move out of your home, as long as it was purchased before the 12th of May, 2026, so it was purchased, that has been grandfathered for negative gearing.
Got it. So it's really anything from that date onwards. Yeah. That's going to be impacted.
But the problem is it sounds great, but a lot of people have paid their home off quite a lot. So there's not much loan against it because it's the interest on the loan that's your biggest deduction that you can claim.
Yeah, right.
And that's why I always tell my clients, get a depreciation schedule because that's something that you can claim every single year against your income to try and get that tax bill down. Yeah. So if you were like, do I buy an investment property or do I keep my home? Talk to your accountant, try and strategize around that.
And to work out the best strategy.
Usually our homes that we live in, like this home here, it's probably the most, I'm not sure about your investment, but for most people, it's the most expensive. It's in the best location. They usually spend the most money on the renovation, which means it's going to add the most amount of value. So your principal home seems to be the biggest ticket item in people's investments at the moment. Working around that.
Do you think with the changes they're proposing, do you think that's going to shift the strategy for people?
For not a hell of a, not as much as we think. Like, it sounds good on paper. Like, I figured out this hack.
Yeah.
But it's a very expensive, especially in Sydney, it's a very expensive asset to hold on to because we have land tax.
Yes.
Yeah. And land tax is
nice
a killer.
And expensive.
Very expensive. So a lot of us will own homes where the land value is above the threshold and then that doesn't make it viable. And then you don't have much loan on it. So then you can't negative gear it. And I always say to my clients, okay, your home's worth, say, Sydney, right? So your home's worth $2 million or $3 million. Is this the best place for $3 million? Could you have sold it tax-free because it's your home and then reinvested that money elsewhere? Because of the changes to capital gains tax and negative gearing now, that conversation is changing.
Yeah.
Because they're taxing shares, they're taxing
it's across all
everything.
assets, yeah.
So that's what I mean about don't hate the player, hate the game. We're playing by the rules. Now the rules have changed. So now it's like, okay, maybe now your home is the best place for your $3 million because it's a tax haven.
Yes.
Things like that. So this is where, if you haven't already, please get yourself a great accountant, especially a lot of us are business owners, have got trusts set in place, have got properties in trust, have got properties in, spouses' names, or, you're moving money around trying to save
keep as much of your own money as you can.
And then it's just been flipped. Get a great accountant. Start having conversations now saying, I don't want to do anything just yet. I don't want to just jump the gun. I want to understand.
Yeah, because I think you need to understand there's a lot of changes coming, particularly around trusts and company taxes and how to the distribution. I don't know. My husband says it or tells me and goes through one ear and out through the other because it's boring to me. It's not boring. I say that.
It is boring.
I actually no, it's not. And I joke about it, but it's actually really interesting. But you do need the experts to help you guide you through it. So get a good accountant.
Yeah, they're worth their weight in gold.
And a good valuer.
Yes.
We have a good one here.
Yeah.
I think let's wrap up with a couple of reflection questions.
Okay, let's go.
So firstly, are you happy that you went out on your own? And do you have any regrets about doing it?
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
It was really scary going out. And I think if there's anyone listening to this, the biggest advice I would give you is I at least had an ABN set up. I had my business name set up. I didn't have a website. I didn't have any idea. I did have a little bit of a client base because of my social media. I would just be a little bit careful about literally ripping off the Band-Aid and just jumping in without anything. Yeah. While you're in your company where you're working, just set up the ABN, set up the company name, set up the website, set up a couple things. Not everyone needs a website, I get that, but have a little bit of example of your work, have something to at least build, get some momentum, because what happens is you have all the enthusiasm and then you're out there going, okay, I'm ready. Hello, anybody?
Waiting.
I'm happy to do your design. And then crickets.
Yeah.
But just building that up, because the last thing you want is your business to fail, because I've heard this before. It's like you gave it 6 months, but month 7 or 8, you could have landed your biggest client. You just maybe gave up too early because you just, give yourself some time to really, the first year of business, you're farming. You're just planting seeds, networking, meeting people. There's that coach, that Greek coach, he's like, sometimes it may be good and sometimes it may be shit. Okay? That's what's the first year of business. You're going to meet people that are sometimes it may be good and you're going to meet a whole bunch of other people that sometimes are maybe shit, but it's all the learning, right?
Yeah,
and then
totally.
year 2, it's like, oh my God, there's green. I see green, meaning like there's a referral, there's a client callback.
Yeah.
And then by year 3 and year 4, you're watering the green.
Yeah.
And it's growing. And then the tree drops seeds of its own. And then that's then the referrals come out, and just hang in there. But just if you believe in what you do and your main first priority is to help the client.
Yeah.
Always. If it's about, I just want to do what I want, I just want to grow because if it's more, if you're more focusing internally versus externally to the client, I believe in karma, and you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. It's such good advice. Can we go back to the social media piece? Because I think it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there and give value, which is what you've been doing in your socials. You're there every day giving value, talking about these topical things, trying to educate. And I know that, having gotten to know you, I know that comes from like a place of really wanting to help. But the conversation I have with heaps of people, including myself, by the way, is, oh, no, we can't do that. It's so cringe. And like,
it is cringe.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Like even yesterday I posted something and I'm just like, it's just, I want to vomit at the thought of it. But you have to, I think this is what I say to myself, just push past the fear and just do it. But for anyone who is questioning that and kind of going, oh, no, I can't do that, can you just give us advice on why it's important to stand up and be heard?
I think to go on social media, you really just have to stop. I'm going to use the SHIT word. You really got to giving a shit what people think. You really do.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there going, I wonder what they're going to think. I wonder what they're going to think. You might not be for you. I do. When I first started, you got to imagine, as a valuer, we are so like, no one knows any valuers. There's no valuers out there because we're behind the screen.
Behind the scenes.
We turn up, we inspect your home in 5 minutes, we're gone. We're like, what the hell just happened? Like I spent 5 hours cleaning my home and the valuer's here for 10 not even 10 minutes. Like what the hell just happened?
More than once,
yeah. Like I didn't get a name. I didn't even know who she worked for. She was in, she was out. Like we're an enigma, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was so petrified because I don't dumb it down, but I simplify it thinking, oh my God, my colleagues are going to think I'm so dumb. Like I'm explaining things like I'm explaining it to children, right?
Yeah.
I just stopped going, I'm not talking to my colleagues. I'm not talking to people in my industry. I'm talking to the mum and dads. I want to talk to you. My grandmother, she had a fall last week and I've been taking her to the doctors. And one benefit of owning your own business, you can kind of come and go as you want, right? So I've been taking her. She's been here for 40 years, can't really speak English. So I'm sitting there translating. And the way I want the doctor to talk to her, as in, you fell down, you put cream 3 times a day, you cover the dressing, right? I'm like, okay, that's how she understands. So when I talk, I want people to understand in layman's terms, because interior designers like this and that and overlay and color and texture. And I'm like, what do you mean by texture?
Yeah.
What do you mean by like colors and like textures and colors and layering? Like what do you mean? So talk to your audience as if they are little children, like adults, but little children. And if you have a problem that you had a client, you think, well, I'm going to tell my audience because I just solved a problem for my client. Somebody that's watching may have
the same
problem that I can then help them. So talk to your phone or your camera as if you're talking to a friend, or you're explaining this to someone that has no idea, and you're not talking to a colleague, you're not talking to your peers, you're just talking to a friend. So that's what I do. And I pick up the phone and you see me, that's my style. I'll be in the car, I'll be in my desk.
Yeah.
And, I just thought of something.
And you do
pick it up and I just talk as in I'm trying to help a client on the phone.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to just start. The more you do it, the easier it is. Whatever pops in your head that you think, oh, this is interesting. Like you might find that you have some samples of floorboards, right, Linda? And you're like, I find that a lot of my clients like this type of look, but I find it's really hard to match it with cabinetry.
Yeah.
Where this, if you notice on a sample, it looks a lot warmer, but here's an example of a house I did where it's actually not as warm on the floor as people think. And this is how I help my client match it up, because they wanted this stone, or I don't know, I'm not an interior designer.
Yeah.
But it's not first world problems, but to somebody, it's something that they're like, oh, I never would have thought that. Yeah.
I think what you're saying is people want to know that they actually want like the truth.
Yeah.
They actually want that connection and the truth. They're sick. I think certainly from a Build Beautiful perspective in the conversations we're having, they're resonating so much because people want to know what's really happening.
Yeah.
Not just the amazing end result of a project, but what was the thinking behind? Like, how do you build the business?
Yes.
How do you get through the hard times? How do you pick yourself up after a difficult client situation? Like, I think they're the conversations we're having, and that's what people actually are resonating with and connecting with. So what you're saying is talk to your client, like talk to your audience as if they're a friend, and forget about what you think people are going to think. And you know what? Most people don't give a shit.
No,
they actually
don't.
just don't care about you, me, anyone. They just care about themselves.
Yeah.
And they might look at it for 2 seconds and go, oh, I could never do that. Move on. But at the end of the day, I think if you come from a place of value and wanting to really put something out that means something in the world, then you have to just push past that thinking. And you do that, and I love it, and that's why we connected. And so it's amazing. And thank you for all the advice. It was a great episode. I hope it's really valuable for the people that listen to this one.
Yeah, the value added value today. Oh.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.